Hi, this is a short video in relation to preparing the assignment for MGT 134 on decision making. I've had some students come to see me and I thought it might be helpful to share some thoughts on creating and preparing your piece of work to help your focus. So first things first, think about the post-18. As I've said in lectures, the post-18 decision, i.e. what you're going to do after you leave school at the age of 18, tends to be the most significant decision you have made in your life to date, and therefore there's plenty of evidence that would help you create and understand your decision-making process. So if you were to think about this journey, you probably started your timeline of looking for what to do after 18, maybe around June 2015. And it might have been at the start of open days and talks within your school, to the point where you got to Sheffield in September 2016. Throughout this period of time, you had things that happened. You might have had open days with speakers in your school. You might have visited open days at universities. You might have browsed the UCAS website. You might have looked at the university websites and the programmes that they offer. You might have had peers or past students talk to you. But either way, you have a series of events and thoughts and informations that somewhere along that journey has created what could be described as these circles in terms of sets of data. What did you think? What did you feel? What did you do? What action did you take? Somewhere along these journeys, you had also some major deadlines, one of which is the deadline for your submission for your choices. And I think from memory it's January, and that would have been January 2016. At some point you would have had offers along that journey that might have made you think and feel and act, or you've reflected on the decisions that you've made in terms of first and second choice or third choice, etc. You might have attended placements or offer holder open days, etc. It's all data that you can collect in relation to what you went through. You then had a period in August, post your A-levels or your other qualifications, where you then had to make a decision in terms of where to go. Again, all of this set of data is evidence that helps you think about what happened at the time when it happened. So first things first, and questions is, has this been done? Have you considered all of this when you've thought about what happened to you in terms of the decision-making process? You might then say, okay, I can now see from the data that this and this and this are some common approaches. Common approaches. You might also recognise that at various points towards the deadline, you have the same decision-making pattern. And again, you can start to recognise themes. Okay. You can see that maybe when there's no deadline, that your approach between normal decision-making or deadline-driven decision-making might differentiate itself from the normal way in which you work. Either way, it's all information. Then what you would need to do is think about these common themes and do literature searches. Okay? This is only one way that you can approach this assignment. But you've got literature searches based on these themes. What does literature tell you about decision making in light of maybe deadlines or too much information? Maybe if this is a common approach where you get too much information that you can't articulate it or synthesize it or even cope with it, and therefore you stop looking. So what does literature say? That will then help you make sense of your style. Okay. And from there, then you can start to create a structure to your writing. Okay. So it might be that your paragraphs become your themes. So theme 1, paragraph 1. Or it might be that you look at the timeline as a structure. Or it might be that you draw comparisons between decisions taken at deadlines or when there's no deadlines. But either way, from this set of data that you've collected, you should be able to start to identify some ways that really, really emphasize your decision-making process, okay, which is personal to you. Understanding that is part of the question. When you look at the rubric, you don't get marks for identifying your skills for decision making. You get marks for identifying the assessment you have made from having analysed the decision making process you applied at the time. And it might be that in your writing up of your assignment that you draw some examples from these sets of data to just emphasise what you did at the time. So that's one way of approaching the assignment. Another way of approaching the assignment could be take a look at what literature says about decision making. You know you had some emotional reaction to decision making or some interference from different people giving you opinions and views, and also all the information that you've had from the website and the program itself that might be seen as facts or logical information, and how you've dealt with it. But literature is where you will find some of the evidence and proof of different processes. So it might be that you read literature, and from literature there are a number of things that resonate with you and with your experience, because you might read literature that says parents' expectations and your expectations and how there was a mismatch. So what are the things that when you read literature stand out in terms of what resonates with your experience? And you will get this from various different literature journal articles. Okay, you should not be in this assignment referencing non-academic sites. This is a clear link between all the examples you use are yours and therefore not something you can reference. The reference mark is the fact that you're writing them with I did, I saw, I felt. But the literature and the academic sources is what will really be required in this assignment. So you've got a list of areas that resonate. And then you can start to, using the literature, assess and evaluate this. How good were you from doing the decision-making process based on literature? So the resonation or the attraction to the literature that you're reading becomes really crucial here. That will help guide you and connect with what your experience was. I hope this helps in terms of setting you up for the assignment. I know it's a very different challenge to the first two, and the reason behind it is purposeful in terms of where you go in level 2 and level 3. So it's another way that will help you think about what you do as a manager going forward. Please use the discussion board as normal to facilitate questions and answers.